Hello, it's been a while since I did one of these. Um, the structure by which I like to follow these videos is similar to how I would facilitate any kind of meeting, and it begins with what it's like to be me in both uh, form, sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. But we can start with form. I am reading Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, and I'm very happy that I'm doing that because it was one of the first texts that talked about awakening that I felt an emotional invigoration from. And it feels quite important because also in my world is an interview that's coming up. Um, Tashin has invited me to his podcast, um, and he always reserves the right to not publish any of the work, so kind of see what inspires in this podcast. But hopefully, all things go well and it's a beneficial conversation for all beings. And he's given me a set of questions already, and I am finding myself frustrated at what it is I am trying to offer to others. It seems no matter what I try, I feel that they are not the thing. They are not what it is that I'm trying to offer. And this perhaps points to the Vajrakara Sutra that I've been enjoying so much, that there are no teachings that thusness conveys. Thus, they are called the teachings of thusness. I think I'm starting to understand that in myself, that there are no teachings that I can convey to another for them to see this. But I can point it out. I can point out with directions. And one of the things that I think I would like to be talking about with Tosh, and I would like to point out that my path seems to have been accelerated and invigorated through service, through the intention to benefit others and dedicate myself to the benefit of others. Um, and it hasn't always looked wholesome in the sense like um, perhaps at times I wanted to help others so that I would receive their uh, fondness towards me, something like this. And so it's been quite a journey to see that that was even a motivation underneath the desire to help and to approach helping others from a place of more pristineness, so to speak. Um, like it just it helping others is in itself its own thing, and it happens to be that helping others is its own thing, and also the practice that I wish um, to convey to put ourselves in the position to learn how to be of more benefit to others. And this is helpful too because when I look inward, um, and I'm practicing helping others, well, now I get to interact with myself in this way, how I can interact with the aspects of myself and the various areas that they exist in my body, um, and seeking to benefit them. How can I help them more directly with more contact without telling them what to do? And it seems to be my very practice here is to be unforcing, very gentle, but when the time is right, like a needle, um, like how a needle in acupuncture conveys to the body, this right here, this right here is where attention would do a lot of benefit for the body and mind. Um, I believe that similarly, one's presence can act in a way of that nature. But we don't force it. We never force it because forcing it in myself hurts me, and I do not wish to force that upon others, and thus there is no teaching. But there is the duality, an interesting duality here between structure or form and flow or formless. Structure, flow, form, formless. What structures can I lean on? What structures would I offer to people to lean on for their practice? And this is kind of the anti teaching because what Thusness calls structures of the path of liberation are not structures at all. And there is no path, and there is no liberation. Thus, these are all called by Thusness structures, path, liberation. In other words, these are all inseparable from open awareness. And that is what is difficult to convey in words. That is what is difficult to convey in any other way than living it completely and authentically within myself. Thus, I suppose in this conversation, I can only confuse with that. I can only point to other teachers who may have a better structure than I do. And in some ways, I am ambivalent to developing a structure. But I can point out of perceptions or the categorizations of the mind, we can point to 6532 circular dynamics, categorical dynamics, body mapping, and duality. We can work with these um, structures that connect the form with the formless to explore where we may be benefited with balance. But ultimately, the practice is simply to be curious, which is an inherent quality within us, with that openness that we recognize. So, Siddhartha has been a lovely book for me to recognize and remember that even Siddhartha left the Buddha, realizing that the Buddha teaches something that is not a complete path to awakening. This talk of suffering is not the path that Siddhartha is seeking, because Siddhartha realizes there is no teaching to full and complete enlightenment. And that's what's difficult, right? That's what's been very difficult for me. I have been thirsting. I have been thirsting for a path, for a dharma, for a way to be of service to myself and others. And it begins much early into my life. As a child, I perceive in tantric form and hypnosis the past lives of angels. And this accelerates the practice. It serves the practice because it gives motivation to recognize even the sock puppet, even the soul of a sock puppet, has come here with intention. And so I chose physics to help problem solve for myself and others. And then I chose Chinese medicine to help optimize flow for myself and others. And I chose meditation to relate to discomfort in myself and others without turning away. And I chose authentic relating as a way to um, essentially have a container to demonstrate these practices. And so it continues. And so it continues. This is what I have to share. And I'm curious what else transpires between now and the interview to share.